Hello everyone and welcome. Yes, my name is Arrowfire and welcome back to another episode on Look Out and Shout. But before we get into the review today, I want to show a very late pickup from TF Nation that I've actually just received in the post today. Some lovely artwork done by the very talented Dave Cousens of Beast Wars Megatron from the episode The Agenda Part 3, destroying G1 Optimus Prime as he finds him in a comatose state in the Ark. And I saw this at TF Nation. I wasn't able to get back there in time to go and get it, but I have since asked Dave to send me a copy, which I've obviously paid for, and it has come today, and I am very impressed with it. I love it. It's got that kind of gritty Skybound kind of vibe to it. It's brutal. That's what it should be. It's a very iconic scene, and I like that. I like the fact that it's got the dialogue there. I unleash the storm of vengeance. Farewell. I love this. Thank you very much, Dave. Now, if you want to pick up your own copy of this or any other of Dave's brilliant artwork, you can head on over to Ko-Fi. I'll put a link in the description below, and you can look on there for some A4 and A3 sizes of Dave's artwork. But also, Dave has got his own website going up shortly, and I'll put that link in the description below. As of recording, I don't think that website is live, but do keep checking at it. I'm sure you'll see some lovely wares from Dave up there. And if it's anything like this, I look forward to seeing what else he's got. Right, now on to the review, because at long last, we are finally reviewing, probably about as late to the party as you can be with this, Takara Beast Wars MP-59 Cybertron Defense Rhinox. Now, you'll probably know that I was really looking forward to this figure. It was one of my most anticipated pickups of the year. Not because Rhinox was my favourite Beast Wars character, he probably wasn't. But this was going to be one that gave Takara the biggest problems. This Pterosaur and Inferno, the way their bot mode and beast mode go, this was always going to be difficult. You look at the box here, you've got to try and get a robot into a rhino hide, and then you've got to try and form a rhino's hide on the back of a robot. So this was always going to be a challenge, and to my mind, to the last offerings, Tigatron was the last Takara Beast Wars mold, and what was that? 2019, 2020? It's been a long time, because Takara went a little bit quiet, and at least we're led to believe this is going to be the last of the Takara MP line as we know it. It's going to be MPG after this when they do MP-60, which is going to be their Power Master Optimus Prime, and kind of what it's going to be from there. I can't think that's going to be the end of it, but at least in terms of the statement they put out, it's up in the air. Don't sound off in the comments. It's up in the air. We don't know nearly enough. The box itself is nice. You get the typical shots of beast mode and robot mode on the front. On the back, you get typical poses and product shots, lots of them represented in the cartoon and all of his accessories, which we'll go into. The figure comes in its plastic shelling, and it comes transformed into beast mode already. So in terms of accessories, you have the collector's card and instructions. You have a nice spark that comes from his Beast Machines days, more than Beast Wars. You get one of his guns because the other one is stored in his rectum. What's with Rhinox in his rectum? You get this plastic accessory, changeable faceplate, and a device to get Optimus Primal out of the alien probe in what, episode 3, 4, if I remember rightly. Good episode. And it didn't work in that episode. Nice accessory to throw in. But you too can pick up your own copy of this Rhinox by heading on over to showzstore.com. And if you feel so kind, yep, it's that time again, could you enter under the support your favourite reviewer code, the code FIRE1, F-Y-R-E-1, where points that you accumulate and spend, as long as you enter the code, will also be credited to my account, which in turn leads to reviews on things like this. So thank you very much for everyone who has supported me so far. I did use points to purchase this figure, and it has made this review possible. I appreciate you all. Well, I've been waiting long enough to get this figure. I'm really looking forward to it. Let's get into it, shall we? Yes, I am well aware this is the third Beast Wars review on the bounce. And there he is in his beast mode, and that's definitely a rhino. Can't say it's not. This is how he comes fresh out of the box, so this is why we're starting on this mode. It's a very compact, very sturdy, heavy beast. And this is exactly what he needs to be. He is toon accurate to perfection. They've done a very good job capturing that, as I feel they have done with all the Beast Wars figures under the Takara line. He looks very sturdy, not too bad on the panel lines. They're there, but remember, they were always going to be. He was never going to be a one-piece figure unless you were going to do like a faux shield part that you would just take off for that clean aesthetic. I actually feel this is as good as he could look in his beast mode. He doesn't have much in terms of posability, so we'll get through this part of the review quite quickly. But he does look quite good, and when you put him alongside his other figures, his other releases in their beast modes, it's straight off the screen. I've said before, I'll say it again, I've said that some of the best masterpiece on the market are Takara Beast Wars figures, just for what they do, and their likeness to the cartoon is absolutely spot on. But yeah, not too much to say at this point. Let's get in for a closer look. So yeah, as you can see, he's very much a rhino. There he is. The mouth opens nicely, gets a nice raw effect on the go. I will say the camera might make him look duller than he is. He's actually quite a light brown going on. Again, very screen accurate. But I've just noticed looking at the camera now, he comes across quite dark. The underside cleans up nicely. You can't see too much evidence of a robot here. And he has a tiny little tail, which is stiff, but it moves. The ears do move on a ball joint. Some people have said that's weird. I would rather that than them breaking, so I'm okay with that. The rhino horn doesn't do anything, but looks very nice. Nice little gold lining to it. And yeah, in terms of posability, all 4 feet move back. So he can lean, he can run, they go forward as well. You can have somewhat of a galloping pose. And there's not much else left to say. He does have a form of weapon storage. He comes with 2 guns. One of them is stored within him, within his backside. But his other accessories he can't store in this mode. And I don't really think we expected that. Whilst it would be nice, where are you going to put them? It's all housed within him, the figure anyway, arms and legs, so there would be no room for it. He is just a rhino in every sense of the word. Okay, now on to some comparisons. Here he is alongside Takara Beast Wars Tigatron. Really do like how these two scale together. These are 2 of the nicer sculptings when it comes to their beast modes. It looks really cool. Tigatron was big. I think this is going to be the only slight draw on this figure, is that is Rhinox bigger than Tigatron? I remember they were quite close in the series, but I always have it in my head that the only Maximal that was bigger than Rhinox was Dinobot. Tigatron, it's a grey area for me, or a stripy area. But I like this figure. They look really cool side by side. Here he is alongside Takara Beast Wars Cheetor. 2 of the original, 2 of the OG. He obviously is much, much bigger. These 2 are quite of differing age now. I can't quite remember the year when this guy came out. Maybe 2018, I want to say. Maybe 2019. But they look quite cool together. Again, it's completing the G1 card, not G1 cast, Season 1 cast, I should say. But yeah, they look quite cool side by side. The only Masterpiece scale Rat Trap I have, this is TransArt's Metal Mouse. I don't have any other Rat Trap other than the original Beast Wars toy. I'm waiting for the Masterpiece one to come out, which is rumoured to be the next offering from the Takara Beast Wars line. These 2 did share the screen, of course, when Rat Trap got upgraded to a Transmetal, and Rhinox did not, because he was sleeping in the CR chamber. That's quite nice. Different companies, slightly different ranges, but they do look cool together nevertheless. Bit difficult keeping these 2 in the same shot. Here he is alongside, still my favourite figure, Takara Beast Wars Dinobots. The Battle of the Browns. The only 2 of the Maximals that didn't get a Transmetal upgrade, at least not at the same time as everybody else. These 2 look brilliant together, and the 2 big Maximal bots, really. So I really do like getting these 2 side by side. This is one of my favourite figures, and Rhinox just looks right at home side by him. Different companies here, but seem to be Rhinox's nemesis or adversary. Here he is alongside Metagate's version of Pterosaur, their Air King. Different companies, but very toon accurate. Can't say it's not. I do like this figure. It's a very tricky figure to get into a beast mode in as much as its design. It was always a hard one to do, but then again, Rhinox was always going to be a challenge as well. So it's nice to see the more challenging figures being tackled. And they do look quite cool together. I'll try and take him off his stand, or at least tilt him down so you can see the sort of size difference that we're looking at here. It's nice getting this toon aesthetic nailed to by 2 different companies. Well, I would say Takara Beast Wars Megatron, this is the 4th party toy made, and my god, I hate having it in this mode. As you can see, it just will not tab together. It is a nightmare, but I like the scale ranges nevertheless. It's such a good looking figure, so expression. These 2, of course, shared many moments together, with Rhinox turning into a Predacon for 1 episode, which we may easily get a repaint, re-release of Rhinox for that 1 episode. That's how they look together. Do really like these very charismatic looking beast modes. I just wish this would tab in. My fault for getting the KO, I suppose. And here he is alongside his great leader. I always liked this kind of relationship with these two, that Primal Beast Wars was his first command, and he would look to Rhinox to give him a bit of a wise old head mentorship that kind of looked like a teacher-student kind of vibe, but at the same time Rhinox would listen to Primal and take his instruction. These two look great together. Possibly the two most animation accurate figures that I think Takara have done in Beast Wars. Possibly, particularly when you look at these modes. The expression on both of them is just so on point. Sizing is just right, and yes, you will come as no surprise as it shows on the back of the box. Primal can indeed ride on the back of Rhinox, marching into battle. That's pretty cool. And yes, I've got the original toy. Most of it. He comes with a detachable jaw, and I can't find that. This is long played with. Yeah, nothing ready to compare here. It's both the same character. This was released in the mid to late 90s, and this wasn't. So yeah, that's quite an upsize, quite a progression of time. And for somewhat typical masterpiece representation, here he is alongside MMC's version of Hoist. Different eras, different companies, different scaling, but just to give you an idea how big this Rhino actually is. Okay, let's maximize this guy, shall we? And here he is in his robot mode, and that is exactly what this figure needed to be. That is as clean and as bulky of a Rhinox in a robot mode that you could hope to find. It just does everything. It's not to say it's perfect, and I'll go into that in a second, but first impressions, once you do the transformation, is wow. They've got a Rhino with lots of panels to form its hide to all tuck away without compromising the robot mode and keeping that toon accuracy. All under the Masterpiece banner. They've done a brilliant job, Takara, once again. Notable issues around the ankles. I think that's been said before in other reviews. Same on my copy, really. They're hollow, and he does have a tendency to want to fall forward, which is surprising considering he's got a little bit of back kibble that he wouldn't want to tilt backwards. But the ankles, you can find a position for them. My problem isn't so much around the ankle joints, it's the fact that the ankles are hollow, and I'll show you that more in a minute. I wonder if they could be filled out, if they had a bit of a faux panel in between, just to add that solid grounding. Would that give them a little bit more rigidness, at least to have a flat footing? But nevertheless, I absolutely love it. Let me tell you, that green is gorgeous, the gold on the chest is gorgeous, the white teeth. It's obviously a faux chest piece, as it is for pretty much all the Beast Wars figures, for what they house on their chests, and is never their beast mode head, if you see what I mean. He looks fabulous. The accessories are really cool. The transformation I actually thought was fine. I went through it completely hard panther. Didn't look at the instructions. The only bit of referencing I used was the box art to try and make sure that once I'd done it, that I had done everything right. And yeah, it was actually quite an intuitive one. You had to do it in stages. I will say it didn't allow you to go off script too much. You very much had to do one bit first before you try to do a couple of things at once, maybe try to be a little bit clever. It wanted you to do certain things in a certain way, but you could work it out. But I really like him. Let's get in for a closer look. So I don't know if you can see, but that's him tilt quite far forward. If I just try and knock him back a tiniest little bit. Well, that holds. And okay, he does rock to the back of his ankles, but if I try and turn him side on, can you see the lean that he's having to do because of the ankles? It's an annoyance, no question, but it is a bit of a minor annoyance. They don't look bad. They weren't bad to put everything into place. There's good ankle tilt, but you can see like he wants to, if you try and tilt him forward, he'll want to recline and recline and recline. But he doesn't fall over as much as some. He will get into a position, just takes a little bit of patience. But I've, condemned figures before for not being able to stand up, but at least he has got an ankle tilt and a good one. But otherwise, this thing is brilliant. The eyes are the biggest problem. Now there is light piping around the back, you can just see there, to which has been done before, and that's all well and good, but how is he going to get light going into the back of his head with this thing in the way? How's light going to come down and bounce through? If it is, it's going to be very minimal. It does give off that dead eye look. I actually thought he had electronic eyes to begin with, but I have seen people online saying you can get some stickers, Gundam S stickers that you can stick on it, and that's what I will be doing. I've seen people with red eyes on Rhinox to make him that complete toon accuracy, and it does make a world of difference. But the head sculpt is brilliant. It's so sharp. He's got that kind of gold beard on the go. Now if you tilt the head back to get the clearance, he will open up his mouth. This is the head he comes with on, by the way, and he's got a nice row of gnashers to get the kind of startled look. He comes with an alternative face, I'll show you that in a minute. But otherwise, he's got a nice head rotation. If I just close the jaw. Head rotation all the way up. And down a little bit, not too much. Left and right all on a ball joint. Nice ratchet out on the side. And a slightly different ratchet on the front, which is good. Legs, not quite a 90 out. And not quite a 90 to the side, but ratchets nevertheless. Might as well do knee as I've just done that. Knee bend at a 90, nice knee ratchet there. And a very good ankle tilt, you can see there. Toe tilt as well, should you need it. Waist rotation is there, and actually not too bad considering he's got a lot of kibble as hip skirts, but I guess when you move him around you can see he does come a little bit untransformed. That's the trouble with being, I guess, the beast former. You've got to get a lot of kibble out the way before you get him into poses. Tighter bends on the elbows, and that's one thing I've noticed. He can come a bit untransformed. The pegs for his chest, top and bottom, are a little bit shallow, so it doesn't take too much to unplug them again. A minor annoyance. With some ratchets being tighter than others, you end up moving things out of position and then torsos come unplugged, but they can go plugged in again. Bicep rotation, individual finger movement, bit tight on the fingers, wrist rotation, and a nice thumb to hold all of his many accessories. You can see that detailing on the chest though, that marbled Cybertronian look. The paint on this guy is stunning, the sculpting is stunning. It does feel like Takara and say Fans Toys, if you know what I mean. It's not maybe the absolute most premium in the world, but it's very good. Just think, as a total package, it does the job of Rhinox so well. If any other company tries to do Rhinox, I can't see them getting any closer than this. So going on to accessories, I mentioned he comes with an additional faceplate, which is here. And it's more of an upper face, but it gives a kind of upper lip vibe. And to get that on is fairly easy. You can pry it off with your nail, but you can see the line through the centre of the head. And once that comes off, you're left with the bare bones that's left behind.
Why so serious?
To which the other face just plugs in directly on top. And as you can see, that gives a much more aggressive lip turn, which I actually think with the mouth open, just looks all that more aggressive. I think I like that more. Has a bit more character to it. Ready for battle or anger and aggression, or annoyed at something that Rat Trap did, which, let's be honest, was a lot of the time. Now, accessory wise, let me start with this. Now, it might not look like much, and it is, and I really had to look at what this actually was. This is a piece that actually plugs into the base of Optimus Primal in Gorilla mode, and then also goes into the back of Rhinox in Rhino mode, that he can sit on there and ride along fitted to recreate the scene from the cartoon. I didn't realise that when I took this photo, and I just literally sat him on top. I didn't realise this component was for that. I thought it was something to do with holding the gun or whatever stand he may or may not come with. That is what that is for. I will have to do that in due course, but you can plug that into the back of Rhinox and under the crotch of Primal for a more stable riding journey. His other accessory he comes with is a spark, which you may recognise from Beast Machines, which Rhinox kind of has a realisation of what the Cybertronian race is losing, if you like. He can be on a stand, which is good for storage. What's also quite cool is that the spark itself opens up and you get the inner workings of the spark. Or if you like, that is the spark, and this is more of its electromagnetic shell or field that it gives off. And that would be a spark in and of itself. It looks like a piece of bubble gum. But that's quite cool. And he can hold it. Now I will say that's more or less sitting on there. There is a groove on the palm of both his hands that holds the gun, which I'll show you in a second. But there's also like a peg for this orb, but the peg tends to hit the wrist. Unless I'm missing something very obvious, it just more sits than pegs in. And if it pegs in, it's very, very shallow, so easily pops out. I like this feature, I like this pose. I just wish there was a way that he could hold it more definitively, unless I'm doing something wrong. I wouldn't be at all surprised if I am. Now this is one accessory I really like, but what's quite interesting, this is a failed accessory, if you like. This is what he used to retrieve Optimus Primal from the alien probe, and it's a device that didn't work. Primal managed to get out on his own, but as a accessory, it's really cool. It goes around like a clasp on Rhinox's forearm. This is where I think Rhinox should have had butterfly joints on either shoulder to get that round to actually holding things across the chest. And you can see here his hands aren't fully touching. It's as close as I can get it. I don't believe he's got butterfly joints. I can't seem to get him any closer than that without his massive chest being in the way. As an accessory, I really like that. Nicely painted. I like the clasp opening that you just kind of sit it around like a bracelet on his wrist, and you can take it off and on quite easily. I don't believe there's any storage for this on beast mode, by the way, but I like the accessory. It's a nice, it's kind of a failed one from one episode, but it's nice nevertheless. And he holds his Gatling hammers nicely. I will say, whilst they're absolutely lovely, and I'll show you in a second, they're fine if you hold him in this pose, but if you try and get the full outward stance, full stretch, and of course, typical, he doesn't do it now. That's where I've noticed he has a tendency to lean, because the arms are outstretched. There's more weight ahead of the feet, and that's the ankles coming in again. But of course, as soon as I've done it for the video, he stands up. Hooray! So, I really like that. That's a very sort of iconic pose, and of course, they spin. Very nice. They don't spin like Dinobot's tail does with a lever, but they look really, really cool, and you can get that kind of war face on. The detailing on the guns is brilliant. One stores inside his rectum when he's in beast mode, and the other one doesn't, but he will have these both pegged on the side of his rhino hide, which is good for storage. It doesn't really go with the cartoon aesthetic, but the detailing, like, you won't necessarily see it, but there's like a wooden varnish on the handle. I think that's really, really cool. The detailing at the front of the cannons, there's like a fine little red outline on the base of the barrels. They are really, really nice stuff. I really do like them. Maximal symbols as well is really quite cool. And you see he can get into a full wide stance, but what I've had to do here is I had to put this knee one click back. It's by no means the end of the world because he's somewhat leaning back, shooting upwards. But again, he has a tendency on his ankles, which are tilted, to want to lean forward a little bit. It's a minor annoyance. I do wish those ankles were stronger. Maybe you can varnish them up perhaps. I have heard other people say similar issues, but this is a very iconic pose, and I'm glad he comes with two guns to do so. And I am pleased to say he can hold all of his accessories. Well, I say all. He can't hold a secondary faceplate or the stand, but he can hold the spark, he can hold the device, and there's two pegs on his back where the weapons can be stored, and that's quite cool. It looks like he's going on a little bit of a backpacking adventure, but he can effectively wear all of his Barbie accessories at any one time, which not many characters can say, but that's how he looks, all armoured up to the hilt. Okay, now on to some comparisons. Here he is alongside the Toys Mage version of Beast Wars Megatron from Takara. Much difference in height. Yeah, this is probably right though. Rhinox was much more of a stocky vibe, and Megatron always stood tall. Do like seeing these two together though. It's a tremendous characteristic coming through these characters. It's straight off the screen stuff, and it doesn't harm the figure. I just think these are great. I do wish I did get the Takara version though. This guy isn't fabulous to handle. And here he is alongside Takara masterpiece Cheetor. This Cheetor is showing its age a little bit now. It's very finicky, particularly when you put it alongside some of the other offerings. But he stands in really well. Again, that's the right scale. This cheetah was very slender, was very small, much more of a scout. So again, this works nicely. And he can't really hold Cheetah's gun. The thumb kind of gets in the way. It's very much at an angle, but it's a shame really. That would have been cool if they could have used the same peg to do so. But as I say, his big thumb gets in the way. Here he is alongside Takara Beast Wars Tigatron. Now this is the only gripe I have with this, is that I feel Rhinox was bigger than Tigatron. I wouldn't say Tigatron was small, but I do feel that Rhinox was bigger than this. They're more or less the same height. Again, Tigatron was a big bot, but there was only one bot that I think was bigger in terms of the maximals, and I think that's Dinobot. So putting these two side by side, whilst they're both very good, and arguably Rhinox makes Tigatron look better, I just wonder, should Rhinox be a millimetre or two bigger still? He's got that stockiness, but he was never small. He was huge. He was quite large, and I wonder, in my mind canon, should be bigger than Tigatron. But that's how they look together anyway. And these two look stunning together alongside Takara Beast Wars Dinobot. These two look made for each other. They're so cool. The colour scheme's quite similar. The brown, I suppose, it's very brown dominant, yet there's life here. It's not a dead colour. These two are great. They captured the personalities straight from the TV screen onto the figures perfectly. And yeah, Dinobot was always going to be bigger. I just love how these two look. And here he is alongside Takara Optimus Primal. These two were very much made with each other's scale in mind, I think. They spent probably some of the most time on screen together. Rhinox was always bigger than Primal. Primal was never big. But I like how they look. Again, when you compare all of the Beast Wars characters together in their robot modes, you kind of feel they were all designed to be as one. They were all designed to complement each other in this Takara line. And that's really personified with this figure. It just looks really cool alongside the likes of Dinobot and Primal. And different generations, but here is what he looks like alongside a typical Masterpiece Carbot in robot mode in Target Master Hot Rodimus. Quite a bit bigger, but different scale ranges, albeit the same company. But that's how you get a flavour of what this Rhinox is like. So what is my final review on this Spearmint Rhino? They have not disappointed. He is gorgeous. He is so good. I've said it before, I will say it again. Some of the best Masterpiece representations on the market are Takara Beast Wars. For what they do, they just feel that bit different to Takara Generation 1 mainline stuff. They feel that bit different to Fans Toys. It might not be as premium a paint, but it's about as close as you can get. And it's just got everything it needs to be. The transformation was fair, at least from getting it from beast mode to robot mode. It does everything that it needs to do. It has got some niggling problems, and I think this has been explained in other reviews as well. But the structure, the heft, the representation of the character, straight off the cartoon into your hand. It's got good presence to it. It scales very well with the other figures. The accessories are very good. I'm very happy with them. But okay, let's go on to some negatives. The eyes, they're dead. It's light piping, which doesn't work in my opinion because you're relying on light to come down. You can't get light through the back of the Rhino head. It's just going to obstruct the light. And I've seen people say they've used Gundam marker pens and Gundam stickers. If anyone knows what ones to use that particularly work on Rhinox, please do leave them in the comments below because I'm desperate to kind of give him some more permanent red eye look, if you see what I mean. He has got very good build quality, but his ankles let him down. Now, it's not the side to side, it's not the tilt, it's the sort of structure of the back and forward. As you might have seen when I was doing the review on him, he will stand up, but he will topple a little bit easily. And I think it's as much as part of the hinging. His legs and his ankles are very hinge operated. Plus, I do think the problem is that they're hollow. They're hollow legs, so there's not much solidness here to kind of give him a more flatter base. And yeah, it might be something that people either need to do varnish on perhaps, or even try and wedge something in the back of his heel to keep him a bit more steady. Because as you can see there, I'm clicking it back with no real force, and that's just with the weight of the figure. But that said, it will stand up. There are a couple of bits that come detached, at least on my copy. His chest plate from the top of the chest and at the bottom wants to come a little loose, but I don't have any tolerance issues. The articulation is fair. The accessories are great, the paint is great, the representation is good. It is very good in beast mode, but it's probably got its winning form in this mode. I mean, that gold chest alone, the marbling, the detailing, the gold accents on this figure are something to behold. And I've shown this figure to non-Beast Wars fans who have said how good it is. It does hold the weapons really well. It has nice weapon storage. I like the fact he can pretty much wear all of his accessories at once. Little bit of an annoyance that he can't seem to hold this spark orb in the palm of his hand unless I'm doing something wrong. It's very shallow. It keeps wanting to catch him on the wrist and fly off. Not that I'm too fussed about that anyway. If he's going to hold anything, he's going to hold his guns. But the representation of the character is really good. The jaw movement, lovely articulation, but you can see just moving the shoulder, I've detached the chest. It's nothing that can't be reattached, but if you want to get it into poses, hold the bottom of the chest and out and back. Now, yeah, I was very pleased that I was able to do this transformation completely hard panther, which I was very good on that one. But yeah, it's such a good representation of the figure. Okay, let's talk about the problem again. Price. Now, I didn't pay as much as some people did, but I've seen this go for well over £200. I wasn't in the least bit surprised I actually called it, because since Dinobot retailing at 170 in what, 2017, 2018, 2017 I think, then Beast Wars Megatron going for something like 240. Takara are not selling these off cheap, and that is going to turn people off. I've already seen people when this price was announced saying they're going to wait for the KO. I don't blame them. I mean, I got this for less than that £200 price and I'm very happy with it, but it is very pricey. It is a lot. Is it worth it? Is it worth £200 plus 209, 210? No, it's very, 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 very good, but it's not worth that. I'd say this is probably worth around 160, 170, if I'm being honest. I love how he's held together. I love the paint. I love how he scales with the rest of the crew. I put him with a couple of other figures and he just fits. I don't know if I'm making this up, but I just get the impression he's a little bit taller than TakaraTomy. He's standing more or less at the same height, and I have it in my head that he should be that smidgen taller. It's just one thing that's niggling with me. But they've done a very challenging figure. This is one thing I can't overstate, that Takara did rise to the challenge. And look where we are now. Look at what we've completed. We've got almost all the Maximals with Rat Trap and Air Razor left. And they should be easier now this guy's out the way. Inferno's still going to be a problem. Waspinator's not going to be easy. Neither's Tarantulas. Scorponok's touch and go. But they've done nearly all the casts. They will finish all the casts, I'm sure. They have to at this point. You don't put out a figure like this and say, do you know what, we're not going to do Rat Trap and Air Razor. But there is heavy rumour that Rat Trap is next, and that will look very cool. I love what they've done. And as I say, when you put him alongside the other figures, it just looks so, so good. There's such great detailing here. The transformation is fine. It's not painful. Certainly have endured worse transformations. I love the gold accents. I just wish the eyes weren't that dead colour. That has happened with other figures before, not just exclusive to Takara. And there's a couple of things that just come a little bit untabbed as you get them into positions, but there's no droopage. There's no trouble getting the accessories on. But Takara have done a stellar job on what is a beloved character. Might not be everyone's top character, but a very good representation of the character that was always going to be difficult to do. And so whilst it's got its own niggling points, what is my verdict on it? Nearly. I have to deduct it something, but it gets 4.5 Rodimus star badges. The price is high. The dead eyes are a bit of a problem. The ankles aren't fabulous. I criticised Transart Dinobot for lack of ankle tilt. This has got ankle tilt, but it doesn't stand up. It's more or less ankle issues again. So I've got to deduct it something for that. But I love it nevertheless. Putting him alongside Primal, he just looks brilliant. Putting him alongside Dinobot in what is predominantly brown colours, they still have a lot of life to them, a lot of character. It's a very, very good figure. I've got him with his kind of angry upturned lip faceplate on because I think that just looks a little bit more menacing. I do love it, and this is going to be contender for one of my pickups of the year because I think they've done such a good job for what was a very tricky character to do. And there we go. That is my review of TakaraTomy MP-59 Beast Wars Rhinox. I'll stick some photos up at the end. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and hit that subscribe button because I will see you on the next one.